Welcome to the Behind Closed Doors channel. Wishing you a peaceful day. Today, I'd like to share the following story with you. I hope you enjoy listening to my story. Now, please, The Testament in a Snow Night. Part 1. Christmas Eve. No snow fell, but the city was cold enough that every sound seemed to freeze in place. Flames erupted from a two-story wooden house at the end of 17th Street, the very site of a horrific crime committed exactly 22 years before. The man who died in the blaze was Nguyen Hu Min, a retired police officer. He had been the lead investigator on a case that once shook the entire city to its core. The family hanged on the spiral staircase. When officers had forced their way inside all those years ago, what they found was an image no one could ever forget. 6 bodies hung suspended from the spiral staircase at the center of the house. Grandparents, parents, 2 young children. Their forms swayed gently, like marionettes with their strings cut. No signs of a struggle, no farewell note. Only a silence so absolute it seemed alive. The sole survivor was an infant girl, 6 months old, found sleeping peacefully in a crib in the adjacent room. Her name was Lin. A suspect was arrested shortly after, a man named Tran Quang Huy, a business associate of the children's father. Huy was sentenced to death. Yet the sentence was never carried out. He appealed continuously, and over the years maintained only a single declaration: "I did not kill them." 22 years later, Nguyen Lin, the girl who had survived, was now 23 years old. She stood before the smoldering ruins of the old house, where the former detective had just died in the fire. The smell of smoke still hung in the air. "Are you a relative of Mr. Min?" A voice came from behind her. Lin turned. A man in a long overcoat stood watching her, his gaze sharp and cold. "No," she said. "I'm connected to the case." He extended his hand. "Attorney Pham Duy Khan." The name gave her pause. That same night, Lin received a parcel, no return address. Inside was an old envelope, the paper yellowed with age. The handwriting was unsteady but unmistakably deliberate. "To my daughter." Lin went still. Her father, the man who had died in that house 22 years ago? Or could it be? No, it was impossible. She kept reading. "If you are reading this, then everything has already begun. Those who have been arrested, not all of them are guilty. Inside this envelope is a list of people who will be arrested in the future. If they are arrested, they are innocent. Use the money I left behind to hire a lawyer to defend them. Remember, trust no one, not even the police. And above all, do not look for me." Her hands trembled. There was a second sheet of paper inside the envelope, a list of 5 names. The first had been crossed out. The second read, Nguyen Hu Min, the man who had died that very night. The following day, Lin went to Khan's office. "Did you know my father?" Khan shook his head. "No." "Then why did he name you specifically?" A brief silence. Then Khan opened his desk drawer and withdrew an envelope, identical to hers. "I received this 10 years ago." Lin stared. Inside was a letter. The contents were nearly the same, except for a single line at the end. "When a girl named Lin comes to you, help her, by any means necessary." The news spread quickly. A suspect in the arson had been arrested, a man named Tran Quoc Nam, the son of Tran Quang Huy, the man convicted of the original murders. Nam confessed immediately. "I killed him." "Why?" "He deserved to die." But when Khan and Lin met with Nam in the interrogation room, the situation shifted unexpectedly. Nam looked directly at Lin, not with hatred, but with something far more unsettling. pity. "You're still alive?" Lynn stiffened. "What do you mean by that?" Nam smiled, a smile that drew the warmth from the air. "So they haven't found you yet." Khan requested access to the original case files. Reading through them again, he noticed a detail that had been overlooked. 6 bodies, the spiral staircase. But the ligature marks on each victim's neck were inconsistent. Some showed compression from the front, others from behind. Some showed no signs of resistance at all. There was only one conclusion. It had not been the work of a single perpetrator. Part 2. That night, Lynn returned to her apartment. The rooms were dark. She was certain she had switched off every light before leaving, but now a desk lamp glowed in the corner. On the desk, a photograph. Her family. But not 6 people. 7. A man stood at the back of the group, one hand resting on her father's shoulder. His face had been torn away. On the back of the photograph, in handwritten ink, "You are the only one still alive, because you are the key." Lynn spun around. The door behind her was easing shut. No footsteps, no sound of departure. Only a silence so dense, it felt as though something were breathing directly behind her. "Is someone there?" Nothing. She moved slowly toward the door, her hand trembling as it touched the handle. She pulled it open. The hallway was empty. When she turned back around, the desk lamp had gone dark. The following morning brought more news. A man named Le Huangvu had been arrested for murder. When Lynn looked at the list, she found the 3rd name matched his exactly. "We're running out of time," Khan said, his voice low. "This list is becoming reality, one name at a time." "Do you believe it?" Lynn asked. He looked at her directly. "I don't believe it, but I'm afraid it's true." Le Huangvu was being held in solitary confinement. When Lin and Khan entered the room, the man sat still with his hands folded, projecting a composure that seemed incompatible with the charges against him. "Did you kill someone?" Khan asked plainly. Vu looked up, his eyes vacant. "No." "Then why aren't you fighting it?" A long pause. "Because if I speak, they will kill someone else." Lin stepped forward. "Who is they?" Vu looked at her. The expression on his face made her chest tighten. "You look very much like her." "Like who?" "The woman who died on the staircase that night." Lin stepped back instinctively. Khan intervened. "You're talking about the case from 22 years ago?" Vu gave a small nod. "What do you know about it?" He smiled, a crooked, hollow expression. "Enough to understand that we are only pieces on a board." Before they left, Vu pressed a small folded note into Lin's hand. A single line. Basement, File 07. Part 3. That evening, Khan and Lin broke into the police records archive. The old case files were stored deep in the basement. File 07 was sealed. "Someone deliberately concealed this," Khan murmured, cutting through the seal. Inside was not paperwork. It was an old cassette tape. When they played it, a distorted voice filled the room, slow, deliberate, and clinical. Experiment 7 initiated. Target family selected. Male subject activated. Note: the 3rd child has displayed an anomalous response. Lin's blood ran cold. "The 3rd child," she whispered. "That's me." The recording continued. Male subject Nguyen Van Hong, no longer in control. Proceeding to full elimination protocol. Final note: in the event of failure, activate the survivor protocol. Khan stopped the tape. The air in the room grew heavy. "Your father," he said carefully, "was not a victim." Lynn shook her head.
No, that's impossible.
He was a participant in the experiment. The basement door burst open. Torchlights swept into their faces. "Police, hands where I can see them." But what stopped them both cold was not the fact of discovery. It was the officer standing at the front of the group, a woman in uniform, eyes cold as iron. Nguyen Lin. She spoke the name as though she had been waiting years to say it. "We've been expecting you."
Who are you?
Lin asked. The woman stepped forward, unhurried. "Prosecutor Tran Mi Lan." The name was not on the list, but it turned Khan's face white. "I'd advise you to stop here," Milan said to him, her tone almost conversational. "What are you hiding?" Khan demanded. She smiled faintly. "Not hiding. Protecting."
From whom?
Lin asked. Milan met her eyes. "From yourself." As they were escorted out, Lin stole one final look at the tape. On its reverse, a sequence of numbers had been etched into the casing. 07, 13, 21, 34, 55. Khan saw it. He went rigid. "Those aren't file numbers," he said slowly. "That's the Fibonacci sequence."
What does that mean?
He swallowed. "The list doesn't end at 5 names. It's a series, one that could extend indefinitely." Part 4. That night, Lin returned home. She locked the door, drew the curtains, turned off every light. But this time, she did not turn the desk lamp on, because she already knew. Someone was watching her from inside the dark. Her phone vibrated, an anonymous message, "You are next." Then a second, or "You will become one of them." She did not sleep that night. She sat in the dark with her back against the wall, eyes fixed on the door, the messages still glowing on her screen. At dawn, Khan arrived. He did not knock, only stood outside and spoke quietly. "Lin, if you're still in there, don't open the door." She hesitated. "Why?" "Someone has been watching you since last night." "Did you see them?" "No." A pause. "But I know how they operate." She opened the door anyway. "What are you keeping from me?" He stepped inside, closed the door behind him, drew the curtains, then said the words that broke everything open. "Your father hired me before he died." He placed a small USB drive on the table. "I wasn't going to give you this so soon, but we have no choice now." Lin inserted the drive into her laptop. A video began to play. The footage was slightly unsteady. A man sat in shadow, his face obscured. But his voice stole the air from her lungs. "Lin, don't look for me, but I already know you won't listen." She hadn't noticed when she began to cry. "If you've reached this point, then they have started again. 22 years ago, I was not a victim. I was someone who was chosen. And you are the result." The recording continued. "They do not kill arbitrarily. They select families with particular psychological profiles, then destroy them from within. When a subject is activated, they kill those closest to them. No memory, no emotion, only the command." Lin shook her head. "No, that can't be." Khan took her hand. "Listen. I was activated, but I never lost control completely. I recognized it. Something inside my own mind that did not belong to me. A voice that was not my own." The screen went dark for a moment. Then one final line appeared. "Lin, that night, I did not spare you."
It was you who stopped me.
The room fell into absolute silence.
What does that mean?
Lynn whispered. Khan said nothing, because he already understood. She had done something. Then the pain struck, sudden and sharp, deep behind her eyes. Fragmented images crashed through her. The spiral staircase, the sound of rope pulling taut, the scrape of a chair. And then, a voice. Not her father's, not anyone from the family, her own. Stop. Everything froze. Her father released his grip. He looked down. He looked at her, not with the eyes of a killer, with fear. "What are you?" Lynn screamed. She collapsed to the floor.
No, that wasn't me. That wasn't...
Part 5. 3 knocks at the door. Slow, precise. "Don't open it," Khan said. The door opened on its own. Prosecutor Mai Lan stood in the frame, her composure absolute. But this time there was something else present in her expression. Certainty.
Enough,
she said, stepping inside.
the game ends here.
Khan moved to stand between her and Lynn. "You have no warrant?" Mai Lan smiled slightly.
You still think this is an ordinary investigation?
She looked past him to Lynn.
Do you know why you survived?
Lynn didn't answer.
Not luck, not love.
She stepped closer, her voice dropping.
Because you were the only successful version.
Khan's hand tightened into a fist.
You belong to that organization?
She neither confirmed nor denied it.
We are not criminals. We are people who repair society.
By murdering entire families?
By eliminating weak points.
Lynn stared at her.
Then what am I?
A silence.
You,
Mai Lan said,
are proof that human beings can be programmed.
She set a thick folder on the table.
You believe your father's list was meant to protect people?
Lynn's expression shifted.
No,
Mai Lan continued.
It was a list of subjects to be activated. Your father betrayed the organization. He tried to reframe it as a rescue effort, but in truth, he was only stalling.
She turned to leave.
Beginning today, we will no longer wait.
She paused at the door, then looked back.
The next name on the list,
her gaze found Lynn,
is your lawyer.
The door closed. Lynn turned to Khan. Before she could speak, his phone buzzed on the table. One message, no sender. Activation, 005930. Khan looked up. In his eyes, something shifted, just for a moment. Something that was no longer entirely him. The countdown on his phone had begun, its numbers falling in silence. 005930.
Khan.
He didn't answer. He stood motionless, staring straight ahead, his eyes unblinking, stripped of expression. 005812.
Can you hear me?
She reached out and placed her hand on his shoulder. The instant she touched him, he seized her wrist.
Don't come closer.
His voice was rough, but it was still him, a fragment of him holding on.
Run,
he said.
No, I'm not leaving you.
005640. He drops to his knees, both hands pressed against his skull.
Everything I remember is being pushed down. Something is forcing its way in. What is it? A command.
Lynn recalled the video.
You stopped me.
She looked at Khan.
Maybe I can do it again.
He let out a short, fractured laugh.
You don't understand. If you fail, 005403. He looked up. His eyes had begun to change. I'll kill you first. 005000. Khan stood. His body straightened with mechanical precision. He moved to the table and picked up a knife. Lin backed away. Khan, stop! He didn't. Target, he said. His voice was no longer his. Win Lin. She stopped retreating. She did not run. She did not move aside. Look at me. One step closer. The knife's blade caught the light. 004730. You are not them. No response. You're the person who chose to help me. Another step. You're the only one who believed me. The hand holding the knife slowed. A memory surfaced, sudden and unbidden. Lin standing before the ruins, her dry, unyielding eyes. 004602. The knife trembled. Eliminate target. The other voice continued, but beneath it, fainter but real. Don't.
Part 6. The pain returned to Lin's head, just as it had 22 years ago. She stepped forward. She pressed her hand to his forehead. Stop. Not a request, not a plea, a command. Khan went completely still. The knife fell. He gasped. What did you just do? Lin stepped back. I don't know. But somewhere inside her mind, another voice spoke quietly. Registered. His phone buzzed violently. The screen changed. Activation failed. Switching to Protocol 2. Substitute target, Tran Quoc Nam. Lin stared at the screen. Nam? Khan understood immediately. If I didn't kill you, someone else will die. Then we have to stop playing defense, Lin said. We go first. He looked at her. And if I'm activated again? She met his gaze without flinching. Then I'll stop you again. A silence. Khan smiled, quietly, and for the first time since it had all begun. I hope, he said, that next time, you still can. Somewhere else, a dark room lined with monitors, columns of data flowing across every screen. A man stood with his back to the displays. Subject 07, he said slowly, has begun to achieve self-awareness. Should we eliminate? Another voice asked. No. He turned. Half his face remained in shadow. We have waited 22 years. The game has only just begun. Part 7. Rain began to fall. Not heavy, but enough to blur the edges of everything, the way truth had begun to blur and distort. He's no longer in custody, Khan said, his eyes on the screen. Nam was transferred 2 hours ago. To where? There's no record. A pause. 2 possibilities, Khan continued. Either they're protecting him, or they're erasing him. Lin remembered Nam's expression. They haven't found you yet. He knows me, she said. More than that, Khan replied. He may also be part of the experiment. Like me? He didn't answer. The silence was answer enough. Their only lead brought them to an abandoned building on the edge of the city. The old municipal morgue, a place once used to store unidentified remains. Are you certain? Lin asked. No, Khan said. But it's exactly the kind of place where someone disappears without a trace. The metal door groaned as they pushed it open. The air inside was cold and damp, and carrying something else, something familiar. They found Nam, lying on a table, covered in white cloth.
Lynn approached, her hands unsteady as she pulled the cloth aside. It was him. Eyes closed, skin pale, no sign of life. We're too late. Khan stepped forward and examined him. Then he lifted Nam's arm and studied the neck. No ligature marks, he said quietly. No wounds. Then how did he? He didn't. At that precise moment, Nam's eyes opened. He jolted upright and drew a sharp, raw breath. But his eyes were empty, completely vacant. Target confirmed. Lynn stumbled backward. Not again. Nam climbed off the table. His movements were rigid and mechanical. Executing Protocol 2. The lights flickered. Then from the other tables in the room, the white sheets began to move. Lynn froze. That's not possible. One by one, figures rose from the tables. These aren't corpses, Khan said, pulling her back. They're people who've been fully activated. When the process goes to completion, they're classified as dead, removed from the record, stored. Nam lunged, faster than a person should move. Khan shoved Lynn aside. Run! They bolted into the corridor. Behind them, the sound of footsteps. Not one set, dozens. You knew about this, Lynn said, still running. You knew before. Khan said nothing. Khan! He stopped, just for a second. I'd seen it before, in a case I handled. Which case? He didn't turn around. A man who killed his entire family. Like my father? Yes. And you defended him? He paused. No. He turned. His expression was exhausted in a way that went beyond the body. I helped him avoid conviction.
Part 8. The pieces fell into place. My father chose you, Lynn said. Not by accident. You're not an outsider. Khan exhaled slowly. There are people who, even after activation, retain a portion of consciousness. A very small portion, but enough to perform, to act. She looked at him. You're one of them, aren't you? A long silence. He didn't answer, but the silence itself had ceased to be ambiguous. It was the answer. They stopped. Ahead, an exit. Behind them, Nam and the others had closed off every retreat. Khan looked at Lynn. Listen to me. He paused. If I'm activated again, don't stop me. She shook her head. This time, let me finish it. Nam stepped forward. He looked straight at Lynn. Subject 07, confirming priority. Then, something unexpected. His eyes shifted. Lynn? He pressed both hands against his skull. I remember. You, the infant, that night. Lynn took one careful step forward. You remember me? When he looked at her this time, his eyes held something other than vacancy. Fear. Run, he said, before you become one of them. The space around them seemed to thicken. The activated figures had gone still, as though waiting for a command that hadn't come. Nam doubled over, fighting something internal. The others behind him began to convulse. Something's in conflict, Khan murmured. Lynn stepped forward. Nam. He looked up, his expression torn. You have to leave. No. She shook her head. I want the truth. He stared at her, then let out a long, hollow laugh, the kind that belonged to someone who had stopped hoping. You think you're the victim? Lynn said nothing. 22 years ago, Nam said slowly. The experiment didn't begin because of your family. It began because of you.
The room seemed to stop breathing. Khan turned sharply. "What are you saying?" Nam looked at Lin. "You really don't remember? That night, your father wasn't activated first. You were." The pain in Lin's head became unbearable. The images no longer came in fragments. They came in full. A 6-month-old infant, but with eyes that didn't belong to infancy. Her father, standing before the staircase, not yet under anyone's control. Nothing in his mind that wasn't his own. He turned. He looked at her and heard it. They must die. Lin collapsed to the floor. No, that wasn't me. It couldn't have been." Nam came closer. "They erased your memory, but they couldn't erase the ability." Khan shook his head. "No one can control another person simply by—" Then he stopped. He remembered. "Stop." The way Lin had halted him. Not persuasion, not reason. A command. "You are not a product," Nam said quietly. "You are the prototype." Everything that organization has built since then, every experiment, every activation, every one of those people on those tables, they have been trying to recreate you. Lin raised her head. Her eyes were wet. "Then my father?" Nam closed his eyes. "He wasn't a killer. He was the first person who ever fought back against you."
Part 9. One final memory surfaced. Her father, both hands pressed against his own throat. Not to die, but to silence the voice inside his skull long enough to resist the command. "And the letter," Khan said softly. "The list." Nam nodded. It was never a list of people to be rescued. It was a list of people who might share something in common with her. The organization wanted to find them. Her father wanted to protect them before they could. So who, in all of this, was the villain? No one answered, because the question had long since ceased to be simple. All the lights went out. A voice came through the overhead speakers. "Subject 07, we have confirmed your presence. Thank you for returning." The lights came back on. A man stood at the far end of the corridor, the same figure from the control room. He walked toward them with absolute composure. 22 years, he said. "We waited." He looked at Lin. "You think we built monsters?" He smiled softly. "No. We only helped human beings return to their truest selves." He raised one hand. All the activated figures in the room simultaneously knelt. "Now," he said, "prove to us what you are." Khan on one side, Nam on the other. The organization ahead, and behind them, dozens of people who were no longer themselves. Inside her mind, the voice spoke. "Give the order." Part 10. No one moved. No one drew breath. The entire space seemed suspended, waiting for a single decision. "Give the order," the voice repeated. Lin looked around her. All those kneeling figures, no resistance, no thought, only waiting. A single thought came to her, quiet and compelling. One word, and it ends. "Then," Khan's voice weaker now. "Don't." She turns to him. "Are you afraid of me?" He was silent for a moment. "Yes." Not because of hatred, not because of enmity, but because he understood, more than anyone, what she was capable of. The image of her father returned to her. He had not begged, had not fled. He had simply done everything within his power to restrain himself, so that he would not destroy the people he loved.
That's why he chose to die, Lin whispered. The man stepped forward. Don't waste your potential. You were not born to doubt yourself. You were born to lead. He raised his hand. One of the activated figures stood, drew a knife and pressed it to his own throat. Give the order. He looked at her. Tell him to stop. Don't, Khan warned urgently. Don't test yourself like this. Lin looked at the figure. Then she spoke. Stop. Nothing changed. A second later, the man drew the knife across his own throat. Blood spilled. Lin staggered backward. I said... The man in the long coat smiled. Did you think your power was absolute? He moved to stand before her. You cannot command all of them. Only those who were awakened through direct contact with you. Khan understood. Then I? The man nodded. Yes, you were once her subject. Lin turned, stricken. You? There is a period of time I cannot account for, Khan said slowly. A stretch of memory that is simply gone. After a case. Perhaps that was when we met. The man continued. Everyone who has ever had direct contact with her may carry the mark. She need not speak a word. Her mere presence is sufficient. He paused, then said it plainly. She does not control people. She awakens them. Violence, selfishness, the desire to dominate. These exist within every human being. She is simply the key that unlocks them. Lin stepped back. No, I'm not like that. But the memories no longer permitted denial.
Part 11. The man raised his hand again. Every activated figure in the room stood. Command them to kill us, he said, or we will continue with hundreds more. He paused, then smiled. You think killing me ends this? We are not a person. We are not even an organization. We are a system, embedded in the police, in the courts, in the architecture of society itself. Khan's jaw tightened. Then there's only one way. Lin looked at him. He looked back. Stop you. Neither of them said another word, but both understood. If Lin existed, this world would never be safe. If Lin disappeared, perhaps it could stop. Give the order. But this time, Lin did not obey. She closed her eyes and said something different. Sleep. Not directed at anyone in the room, but at herself. Sleep. In that moment, every sound vanished. No impact, no breath, only absolute stillness. One by one, the activated figures ceased moving. Nam sank to his knees. The man in the coat, for the first time, went motionless. A flicker of something crossed his face. What are you doing? Lin stood in the center of everything. I'm not giving them a command, she said. I'm turning myself off. Khan's eyes went wide. No, Lin, if you do that, then everyone who was awakened through me will return to who they were. She nodded. Yes. The man took a step forward. You think this is over? No, she said. But it's a beginning. She looked at him. You were wrong. I am not the key. I am the error. A silence. He narrowed his eyes. What do you mean? Lin smiled for the first time in all of this. Not everyone carries darkness worth unleashing, and not everyone can be awakened. The people you selected, you chose them precisely because they were capable of resisting. She looked at Khan. My father wasn't a failure. He was proof that human beings can choose. She looked at Khan again. So were you.
You stopped, not because of me, because you chose to. The man retreated a step. No, we had control, the entire system. Lynn shook her head. You controlled fear, not people. She closed her eyes, the voice inside her, for the last time. Confirmed, shutting down. Then darkness, complete and total silence.
Part 12. Khan opened his eyes. The room was empty. The activated figures, all of them, had simply stopped. Some sat against walls, some lay on the floor, but they were breathing. Ordinary breathing. Nam was crouched nearby, gasping.
What happened?
Khan didn't answer. He turned in a slow circle. Where is Lynn? No one had seen her. No body, no trace. No evidence she had been there at all, as though she had never existed. 1 week later, Khan received a letter. No address, no fingerprints, only familiar handwriting. If you are reading this, then I succeeded. Don't look for me. This time, I genuinely do not want to be found. This world doesn't need a key. It needs people who know when to stop. Thank you for proving that was possible. Khan stood alone in the middle of a crowded city, but for the first time, he felt the quiet. Somewhere else. A newborn opened its eyes and stared up at the ceiling, not crying, just looking. And then, barely, almost imperceptibly, it smiled.
Thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe to the channel, like, comments, and share. See you again!